Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending upon which part of the world you're joining us from. My name is Abraham Abhishek. I'm from the Water Channel. And first of all, I would like to welcome you. And second of all, I would like to do some housekeeping and point out a few things. First of which is that this is an interactive webinar. So please share your questions and comment through this long window that you see open over here called Chat Everyone. That window would be, let me see if I can point it out to you, this one right here. And if you type your questions and comments over here and press enter, it will appear here. So I'll try, through the course of the webinar, I will try to collect questions and put them to the speakers at the end of the presentations. But of course, if there are any burning questions, such as a clarification or a challenge, I will keep an eye on them and bring them to the speaker's notice straight away. Secondly, as part of the interactive nature of the webinar, we, especially the speakers, would like to have a sense of who we are talking to. So I would like to request you to please write down your name, your organization, and your specific topic of interest in the chat box as well, as some of you already have. Thank you very much. So with the housekeeping out of the way, I welcome you to this rather interestingly titled webinar, which urges us not to squeeze the delta's costs. Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Can everyone hear me? Okay, perfect. Yes, so this the title of this webinar suggests that the deltas are being squeezed and urges us not to squeeze them. Deltas or deltaic coasts are presumably being squeezed by the interplay of demographic pressures and climate change. The term squeeze will be used in this webinar with a very specific definition, which Marcel Stuyve will expand upon. But broadly, it means the loss of coastal habitats that occurs when human beings claim coastal land to build structures to defend communities against the sea. The reason why this discussion is worth having, apart from its technical aspects, is that as we build flood defenses to protect, is because human settlements along the deltas, the big delta cities of the world, have been key drivers of human civilization at large and the global economy, trade, and commerce. So as climate change unfolds and threatens coastal cities, and as we build flood defenses to protect them, and as we lose coastal habitats and biodiversity as a result, we need to build into our approach ways and means to come up with solutions that balance coastal zone development with strengthening and preservation of coastal ecosystems. I think in this regard, we are at a stage where we need to debate, discuss, develop, and share solutions. And so to explain the value of that particular aspect, that is the value of debating, discussing, developing, and sharing solutions, we have with us Renske Peters, the director of Delta Alliance. Renske has been an international force in the fields of infrastructure and water, having held senior positions within the Dutch government and international organizations such as UNFCCC. To present Renske's profile would take me a lot of time, so we have provided a link to her detailed profile on the webinar homepage. But what I'll also do is that I'll post the link to a bio of her in this chat box right now. There you go. You can see the link appear in the chat box right now. Renske will discuss the role of building international alliances to discuss issues and develop solutions related to Delta regions around the world, and how Delta Alliance, that is the organization she is the director of, is trying to achieve exactly that. So Renske, please take it away.
Abram, thank you very much. Welcome to all of you participating in the webinar today, which is, sorry.
Okay.
Yes? Okay, again, thank you, Abram. Welcome to all of you participating in this webinar about deltas and initiated by the Delta Alliance. This is also the first one in a series of 3. And my name is Renske Peters, and I'm director of the Delta Alliance Foundation, started in 2010 as a knowledge-driven network organization with the focus on knowledge sharing about deltas. It is now an independent foundation, And we have at this moment already 16 members of Deltas in our foundation. Well, to tell you a bit more about the organization and our activities, and after that, Professor Marcel Stieve will continue with his lecture. Well, first of all, about our mission. Our mission is contribute to improved resilience of world's deltas. And we like to reduce the vulnerability to flooding and ecosystem degradation. And as you all know, the pressure on deltas is increasing. Think of urbanization, industrialization, and of course also the impact of climate change. And I think this is more important than ever that these valuable and vulnerable locations increase their resilience to changing conditions. So our mission of our foundation is to share knowledge, identifying knowledge gaps, but also to jointly develop knowledge, but also tools for solutions, and also important, the monitoring of the resilience in deltas. And in our view, economic, ecological, and social resilience are interdependent and essential for an overall resilience. So we look to our deltas with a broad view. Well, on my next sheet, you can see where the current Delta Alliance wings are situated. They are situated in the different parts of the world. And of course, there are also at this moment some candidate wings. So it is increasing. The attention for knowledge sharing between deltas is urgent. And well, for you, maybe interesting to know, well, how to become a member of a Delta Alliance. Well, a Delta country or a Delta region can establish a wing with several knowledge partners working in that specific Delta. And they can establish a wing coordination agency with a coordinator, which is responsible for the activities within the wing, but also the communication with the secretariat and other wings, supporting universities, but also partners like NGOs, private sector, and government. They all with expertise regarding the challenges of the Delta. And when you want to establish such an agency, you have also an agreement with the Delta Alliance. And in that agreement declares the wing that they will measure and monitor resilience, and that they want to provide inspiration and support in sharing knowledge. And in this way, we like to have an active Delta community to find together solutions, to find together new research programs, and develop the knowledge to make more resilience in our deltas. Well, and next to the wings, we have the International Secretariat. It's hosted in the Netherlands and also funding at this moment by the Dutch government, where we facilitating the knowledge exchange and also the co-creation of new research. So here we stimulate the network of the wings to exchange knowledge, and we find each other in workshops, in conferences, in Delta sessions. We try to have a very interactive and active participation of our wings. So we have also a focus on content and research. At the moment, we are creating some new tools, and we are starting a kind of monitoring system of our Delta data, and we did in the past already an assessment of 14 deltas. We try to have active contact with the wings by the website, newsletters, and we have also a LinkedIn group. So with all these data and all these exchanges, we try to connect the science, the practitioners, and the policymakers. So this is our aim, to have a real community, to learn from each other and to join the forces to make the deltas more resilient. And also on this, you see some different publications of the Delta Alliance we made in the past years. And one I like to highlight especially, this is the comparative assessment of the vulnerability and resilience of deltas, published in 2014, and it is an assessment of 14 deltas. And I think it's very important to have this basis for the countries itself, to start, for example, the adaptation process for climate impacts, but also to start up a kind of monitoring system, how the different deltas will develop. And at this moment, we are also thinking about that this system we can use for the monitoring of the new just published Sustainable Development Goals. Because in the 70 goals that were established last weeks, I think, there are also a lot regarding the water-related issues. Well, then, I like to show you a bit more of the way we like to work. Up till now, we had, of course, our presentations, we had our conferences, but we strive to have more active dialogues. For example, today with our webinar, I hope there will be a response, there will be actions, an interactive approach. I hope also that we can start with some ways to find out what kind of new approaches we can have to make the deltas more resilient. And I call here the ADM, Adaptive Delta Management. We are working on this concept now in the Netherlands, but we like to have also more involvement of the wings. And we hope that we in 2016, there's a big conference in May 2016, to have the outcome of the interactive development of this concept. And what I said is also the monitoring activities. We like to start up the kind of monitoring system between the deltas, but also to have a contribution to the developing of the monitoring criteria for the Sustainable Development Goals. A review of research. We are an open organization. We like to have also this kind of discussions in our Delta Alliance. And of course also the match of research between the different Delta partners. I think when we do it in different deltas together, we get a lot of more new input which will enrich your research about your deltas. And of course, not everybody will be a member of a delta country, delta region of delta member, but is interested or is involved in one of the knowledge research programs. And also all the individual knowledge workers are welcome to participate in our discussions, to add information to our organization, and also to put in the interesting things you think they are important for the delta development. So please give your address, your input, and put yourself on the list so you will be one of the delta community. Thank you very much. I will now give the floor to Mr. Marcel. Steve?
Yeah. Thank you, Renske. We will now hear Dr. Marcel Steve from Technical University Delft, who will explain to us the very concept of coastal squeeze and the various ways in which it rears its head in coastal regions along the world. Again, in the interest of time, I will not dwell too much upon Dr. Steve's profile. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name very well.
That's all right. I'm used to it.
Especially because some of you have already read it on the entry page of the Water Channel, and the others can read it by following this link to his Wikipedia page that I will put in the chat window right now. Okay, so Marcel, please take it away. I will just take half a minute to pull up your presentation.
That's fine, no problem.
On the screen right now.
Welcome, participants. It's lovely to know that we are connected all over the world, and these are new developments that we should promote and inform each other about our experiences. And that's basically what I'll try to do in my presentation. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's two YouTube videos available on the Water channel. And one of them is about invention. I won't say much about it, but if you're into innovation in sediment nourishment, then you may like to watch that video. The other one is from a MOOC. Is one particular part of a MOOC that we do on water and climate here in Delft. And in that video, my colleague Judith Bosso and I try to explain what are the main interventions that have an impact on our coastal system. Okay, thank you, Abraham. To make this sound better. Basically, in the video, you don't have to watch it, but if you're interested, you may learn that we see three types of interventions that are important. That is, we build infrastructure, for instance, harbors, that interrupt natural processes, so we need to mitigate that. In my presentation here, I will hardly talk about that. The second is coastal squeeze. I'll explain about that. And the third is about relative sea level rise. I'll talk a little bit about that in this presentation as well. And I think it's a very concise but complete overview of what our interventions do on coasts. So let us go now to the presentation that I'd like you to join today. Well, you saw that there was a very daring title, Squeeze an Orange, but don't please squeeze the coast of deltas. It's all about the importance of narrowing the transition between land and water. And this is happening today, still. Some countries have resolved it. And by leading through some examples, I hope make the concept clear to you. So let us move on to the next slide. I will first show you a classic example of beach and dune squeeze, and that's the coasts of Spain. I will skip the second bullet, just in the interest of time, but I'll give you also a modern example. That's the case of Hoi An in central Vietnam. These examples are all about beaches and dunes, but there are more vulnerable fringing coastal habitats, and those salt marshes and mangrove. Introducing them, this is a bridge to discuss with you the mangrove squeeze problems we have in the Mekong Delta, and I'll bridge in there as well the impact of regional sea level rise. So let's start with this classic example, the coast of Spain. So what you see here, don't mind the small letters, right? Just look at the top view, where you see the situation in the years 40 and 50 of last century, where usually the urbanization was behind a rather wide dune and beach system. Until the 60s and the 70s, when tourism was coming up strongly, and you see urbanization moving as closely as possible to the coast. And you see the pictures to the right are are real situations that were once a pristine beach and dune field, top right, and bottom right, you see the urbanization that has moved up near the waterline, and thereby narrowing that and water transition. The problem is that when it's so narrow, you have no space to absorb the impact of extreme events. And even stronger, because you're so close to the waterline, extreme events will, by interaction with the hard structures, will erode sediment in that it disappears offshore. And it will not automatically return to the coast, as would be the case for the upper right situation. And so,
Next slide.
yeah, I have it. That was just responding a bit slowly. And so you have two options. You can build revetment, but that has the disadvantage, like I explained to you, that hard structures in your coastal system are often not the right solution. Spain has been choosing for option 2, the bottom left. They have decided, let's try and restore a wider land border transition that is resilient and can absorb the effects of extreme events. And so basically, you see on the two top pictures on top, you see the situation before, and under that same place, the situation after. And that has been to restore the wide beach and in some cases also a dune system. And those systems are completely resistant to the impacts that they are facing. And to give you a few more shots before and after, left of course before, right after. This is somewhere on the Balearic Islands. You see also that sometimes hard structures are being used. Like for instance, this is a hard structure that makes sure that no sediment is lost from that particular littoral cell. Here's another example. Here, in fact, the hotel is used as a sediment retaining structure on the top right. So, in summary, Spain has been very active in restoring a wider landward transition. So, clearing the squeezing of the landwater transition problem. In fact, they have embedded that in a law which was established in 1978, if I'm not mistaken, and they have implemented all over Spain. Maybe one more important thing to mention is that they have at the same time resolved an important issue, namely that in the old days, some developers of resorts and hotels have tried to claim ownership of beaches. That's not allowed in Spain. All beaches are public, and that is, I think, a very important measure that we should really make this for every country on this world. So this is a traditional example, solved quite some time ago. Oh, by the way, there's one more. Oh yeah, here's one more famous Spain example. This is north of Barcelona, Masnou. It would not surprise me if some of you have been there. So if you a modern example, what you see here is the center of Vietnam, a little traditionally Hoi An, that is very popular for tourism, and they are now, since the last 5 years, facing severe erosion. If I move my cursor, can they see it? If I do this?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the cursor. Okay. So if you move over here, or can I pick your one up?
Yes. if you
They can't see my cursor, right?
if you click on,
Yeah.
yeah,
Now,
and more time,
okay.
and now you can move it.
And I can move it by. Do I have to hold it like?
Hold it and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Oh, that's nice. So, what you see here is quite a complex system. I lack time maybe to explain everything in detail, but basically, what it comes down to is that you can see here that this code seems to be accretive. You see beach ridges, which have built out in time, and here you don't see that. And basically, that is because this coast over here has been retreating at least in the last 10, 15